Alright, this video is from a few days ago. It's the first time in the field with my RIX LEAP L3. It's a 3D4 resolution thermal weapons sight. And these lines that you see on the screen is not what I'm seeing. These are moire lines. These are sort of interference lines because you're trying to video a video screen and it's just not working out. It's kind of like when you take a picture of your TV and see the lines. So I have my phone mounted on the back of the scope with this adapter device, and if you don't get things lined up exactly right, then things get a little bit out of whack, and so we're not quite centered. This left edge is a little bit blurry. This left side of the horizontal crosshair is blurry. So I just wanted to explain to y'all that the image through the scope is actually fine, that what you're seeing are artifacts of the method that I'm using to record through the lens of the scope, and that's going to be on the methods and not on the scope. Alright, we have cattle starting at about 320 yards for the closest ones. And we're going to demonstrate digital zoom. So as you see, the image gets more and more pixelated the further you go. But the other option is also another form of zoom. It's an optical zoom where we are zooming from the eyepiece. So everything gets bigger, including the crosshairs when you zoom from the eyepiece. But you won't notice as much pixelation when zooming optically. And then you can also add on to that the digital zoom if you want to really zoom in. That might be useful for some really long distance shots when you definitely know what the animal is. Otherwise, very cool, both optical and digital zoom. And here we are a couple days later with the range for the first time. We're at 50 yards, getting our first opening shot in to see how much adjustment we're going to need to make on the scope in order to get a good zero. Alright, so the shot impacted about the center of the head. We're going to attempt to correct that. And the way that works is I go into the menu, go into the zeroing section of the menu. And I'm going to be on the A profile. And it says 100 yards. I'm actually at 50. I'm later going to zero to 100 yards. But what I need to do is to aim where I aimed earlier, freeze the image using the snowflake, and then go down to my XY coordinates. And first thing I'm going to do is change the Y coordinate, and I'm going to bring up my point of aim to the point of impact, which is what I'm doing right now. Overcorrect it, bring it back, and then go ahead and change my windage as well, just one click. Alright, let's see if this works. And I saved it, but I saved it prematurely, as the image is still frozen. So you have to unfreeze your image after you make your adjustments. And you have to go through and unfreeze the screen, which I did not do. There we are. So I'd forgotten to do that. Now I'm going to take a verification shot aiming at the point where the bullet impacted previously. And here are the two impacts side by side on the target, and I'm good to move to 100 yards. And I'm not going to go ahead and show that instead. Carpe Sus. This is going to be video from my RIX LEAP L6. It's a 640 resolution thermal weapon sight. I have it on a tripod just watching the field as a coyote goes running by. Got a road out there at about 485 to 500 yards. Hogs are at about 400 yards. And here I'm starting my stalk on them. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do in regards to the wind and the housing problems. Look at the hogs coming into the top left, working their way across the screen. They're about 650 yards away. And while I station this scope in a good place to watch the field, hogs are moving off the screen on the right hand side, and I'm off the screen on the left hand side. So I'm shooting from there to a hog over here that you can't see, shooting between the houses. There goes the first shot. All the hogs start running. And that's where I tried a coup de grace shot on my hog that actually grazed its head. And the hogs take off. And from my perspective, they'd run in front of the house, so I wasn't shooting. And here's the perspective starting with my stock using the LEAP L3, which is a 3D4 resolution thermal weapon sight. And here I'm just moving up in stages, doing a safety scan. I've got a house off to the right. I've got the house off to the left, of course. And so I need to move into a better position to get the hogs more centered between the houses if I'm going to get more than one shot off. Alright, I'm clear both directions. Hogs are out in the middle of the field. I'm going to go ahead, move up one last time, and I'm going to take the trailing hog, which as it turns out is going to be a nice big boar. Would like a sow, but the boar will work. They run towards the house, so no shot there. I realize the big boar is moving. Graze its head, and then I don't have any shots for these runners. Can't shoot across the road, of course. Don't want to shoot at the road. While walking up on my big boar, he was not dead. So I have to wait for him to clear the house. I've also moved into a better position. There we go. Alright, using the heart girth measurement, he measured 49 inches, which comes out to about 290 pounds.
Brass catcher by Tactical Brass Recovery.
Here's my rifle in the back with the 28-inch barrel and the suppressor on it. It's 53 inches overall. And as you can see, this is just a nice large hog. This is a great first kill for my new RIX LEAP L3 thermal weapon sight.
Carpe sus, my friends.